guys, Michael Ketchen here with another episode of the Michael Ketchen Show. No Matthew Hitchcock today, but I've replaced him with two even better options. Stephanie, the founder of Dreamers Ranch in Windham, New Hampshire, and Emily, her director of operations. I always get excited for these episodes, but I just want to thank you both for being here so much because this means a lot to me and my quest to eat clean and, Maha, RFK and all that stuff in our backyard. You guys must be over the moon. How excited are you for that?
We're really excited.
Yes,
really
you must have just been like throwing parties, going crazy, however crazy a farm girl goes. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to give a little bit of the backstory before we get into it. So I cold messaged on Instagram, right? It was actually me. It wasn't Danielle who runs my page. And because I was playing around with you guys' website when we were looking ahead, I was actually bragging about you guys to somebody about the clean eating and the half a cow we bought and how much I loved it. And someone goes, where are they? How do I get a hold of them? And Matt, my business partner and co-host, had taken care of it. Well, I go on your website and I see you guys are doing this entrepreneurship program, basically teaching people clean eating, farming, regenerative farming. Am I correct in all that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we start there? Because that's amazing to me. Can you tell me a little bit about the program?
So the program, we basically bring young people in. I'll tell a little bit just how we got there because
this is your show. You go right ahead.
We
have some fun. Relax.
Well, no, because it's. I mean, it's kind of it sort of informs like what the passion behind it. But the church that we go to, we ended up with 100 acres of land in Windham that was an old farm. And awesome. And so we've been in my husband and I have been in youth ministry for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, cool, we've got all this land. I really can't curse now. Now I'm getting in trouble. We're like, minister's wife. Set up a failure here from the start of the episode. But we knew we would do stuff with youth on the, we're going to do cool stuff on this land with like camps, whatever. We're going to do something with it. Never a farmer. We've never farmed. Like
my hands don't get dirty either.
So we were like, I just didn't have, and so I had somebody out. We were getting ready for an urban youth camp.
Okay.
And I had a farmer there that was brush hogging around this cow pond that we have because it was an old dairy farm years ago. And he's like, why don't you have some cows on this land? And I'm like, why? I don't know. Why would I have cows on this land?
Why would I have cows on this farmland?
Great question.
Isn't it funny the things that are so obvious to everyone else when our brains out? Why would I have cows? Why if I could have cows?
What? So he begins to share his vision for like a cattle production.
Yep.
But as he's sharing it, so we've been into youth stuff, and then even in some of our studies from when we had gone to school and stuff, you've got this whole thing of just the outdoors and young people and like all of a sudden I just started getting this vision. And I went home and I said to my husband, we need to go buy some cows. And so we bought 17 cows.
So you walked in and told your husband, we need to buy some cows because some stranger bushwhacking or whatever it was around a pond told you to buy some cows. You're a woman of action. I like that. You're dangerous. You're dangerous, Maverick.
And so we went and we bought 17.
Okay.
And I had a cowboy friend from Texas. I called him up. I said, come, we got to help me get some fence lines in. And I'm like, you got to commit to me. Like, I need your help. And so he came, we threw up some electric fence. We actually had the cows before we had the electric fence. And so we had them in like a sheep pasture, and then we threw up some fence and we started farming. And then that was kind of the beginning. And so, like I said, we were already into youth. Then I connected with Em, who is just an amazing youth programmer for programs and camps and outdoor stuff. And so we just began to collaborate. And then we had this idea as we're doing farm stuff, because part of the thing with like regenerative farming is like stacking enterprise and like building, because you have to sell your stuff in order to farm.
Expand on that a little bit, just because the average person probably doesn't know what you mean by that. I think I know where you're going, but when you say stacking enterprises, take us a little behind the curtain on that, if you will.
So, when you have a farm, you got to, if you're farming for the public, right,
Yep.
and to create a program, you want to create a program that's going to begin to fund itself.
Yep.
And part of our vision that we got was we could do entrepreneurship, and we could use the small farming resources to start small businesses. So the businesses aren't actual businesses. They're probably more product lines.
Okay.
But for the kids, they're a business. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we have the egg part of our industry, and so that's one business. We have the meat is another business. We have the fiber for the sheep. That's another business. So,
Fiber for the, I don't know about fiber for sheep.
Their wool.
Their wool.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Like
I'm
doing
thinking like
things.
fiber, like dietary fiber. I'm going, she could
No, like the
okay,
sheep,
yeah.
they have.
Shows you how ignorant I am in the world of farming.
Yeah, you shear them and then you have this wool that you have to do something with. And so anyways, you've just got all these products that you end up with. And so, and then we just want, what you do for stacking the enterprise is meaning that you have the farming part of it, and then we have the program part of it, and then we have the sales part of it. In that sales part, we've got different types of sales. We've got the meat sales, we've got the egg sales, we've got, we've been introducing, last year we introduced gardening and vegetable sales. So, and that's something that we'd like to also kind of up the ante with that as well.
I love it. And I'm going to jump in there and I'm going to jump into you. But the one thing I want to stop, because I realize I'm going around, this is very important. You said regenerative farming. And that's kind of what led me to you guys too. Can you expand a little bit on what regenerative farming is?
So regenerative farming is you're basically mimicking nature. And so you go back to we're not using any of the industry standards. We're looking at how the buffalo roamed on the, anytime you talk regenerative, people are going to talk about the buffalo.
Yeah.
You know,
hey, I love bison. I'm all about it.
Yeah. And so, but when they were out in the herds, way out in the middle of the country, and how the patterns of how they grazed. And then at one point they say that there was probably 15 feet of topsoil out in the Midwest before you had industrial farming coming in. And so what we do is the method repairs soil, and you do it by grazing livestock in a way that you're moving them. It's called amplified multi-paddock grazing. So or mob density. You take a bunch of cows and put them in a tight space, and then you move them very quickly. And so they're created with their hooves and everything to just dig the soil up just the right way. They eat the grass down just the right amount, and then you move them on and let it repair itself. And so you really create this. You can actually repair soil till you can get like 1/4 of an inch a year, which it takes hundreds of years out in just the wild.
And isn't it crazy how nature, if we get out of the way, does what it's intended to do?
It's mind blowing.
Yeah, it's magical.
And one of the things that really, so we were sold on it. We had heard, we'd started to get, we had run into, when we started the farm, we didn't know anything, and somebody had introduced us to another regenerative farmer, and so that's how we got.
Who's the other regenerative farmer? Wasn't that White
Steve
Oak Pastures,
Normanton? No, Normanton Farms in Litchfield.
Okay. Oh, another guy in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that.
Right.
I didn't know, and that's kind of again what attracted me to it. We've been on this health kick. My wife, Matt. I mean, God, Hannah and Matt have like 0% body fat. Then you got me trying to get in line, But eating clean, I've told the story before. My father died at 46. I turned 40 this year. Okay. I see where he went to. I see, where I grew up, the demographics, single mom, inner city, yada, yada, yada. I see how important all this is, and to know what's coming, and to know, thank you for just being a leader in the space, to bring back clean eating, to bring back just sustainability in a clear, common sense way. Big risk by you. I mean, who just calls us, give me 17 cows? But I'm guessing the Stacking the Enterprise, where this magnificent woman comes in, the Emily, the director of operations. How did you get hooked up with this whole crazy project?
Well, so I go to the Crossing Life Church, and that's where we met. And she was working on creating these programs. Sean, her husband, and Stephanie had done so much work with youth, and I'd done so much work with youth prior. And so she was like, hey, do you want to do this camp with me? And I was like, I was at a point in life where I was looking for some direction and what am I going to do now? I had just moved back to New Hampshire. And so I was like, sure. And so we did this camp, and then all of a sudden it was like,
did it just explode? Like, how many people did we get in the camp?
It was a small camp to start. We had a great relationship with some people in the city that were working with young men that were looking for different alternatives in life. And so we were like, okay, so we brought them out. We were doing like construction training, just woodworking, life skills, entrepreneurship. And then after that, she was like, yeah, I think the cat will be such a great fit for these teen men. So let's really pull this together. Are you in? And I was like, ooh. Whoa. I was like, I'm going to have to think about this. I was like, farming. But you had sheep on the property already. So we had slow introduction. So then I was like, all right. Yeah, thought and prayed about it. And I was like, okay, had some pretty strong confirmations from other people. And I was like, all right, I'm in. And then it was just this adventure as we figured it all out.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah. How many years in are we now?
This is the 8th.
Yeah, going into our 8th year. Wow. And you know, I'm jealous of, Jeremy Clarkson that has his farm in England. He has a regenerative farm because he had the videographers that videoed his years of learning. And if we did, we would be millionaires.
Well,
Plenty of stories.
Hopefully after today we start you on that path, because I will tell you one thing, my selfish aim, now that I both got you here and you can't get away, is I just want to share what you guys are doing. And it's going to be one of my bigger priorities too with the podcast and pushing out, getting the network, because I believe so much in this mission around the regenerative farm, to know what's in our backyard, to get that outreach. Because again, I mean, I can selfishly just tell you, I've had the health benefits since we got that half a cow. I eat clean meat 5 times a week now when we're not going. Awesome. I do wish I got more ribeyes in my pack, so we'll talk about that for next year. No, but all jokes aside, I mean, Matt calls me and he goes, "Hey, we got to get a half a cow." I said, "All right, I'm in for a half a cow." For those who watch this, you don't understand how big a half a cow is until you get a half a cow. That was a nice eye-opening experience to my wife. I have a meat freezer now that goes floor to ceiling in my garage, because that's fun over in Salem. But staying with that, regenerative farming, we've got the story, we've got the program, we got the entrepreneurship program. Before we move from that, how do people get hooked up with that? Is it through your website? Okay, so what is the website?
www.dreamersranch.org.
Okay.
And that has all of our programs, and there's a link to our store, which
awesome.
does have another web address, but lest we confuse people, you
Yeah.
can access everything through
Got it.
www.dreamersranch.org.
All right, we'll definitely, Kaylee, we'll make it a note with Jake to link that in the show notes. We'll promote the hell out of it. Now, what I'm really excited about too, the MAHA, the RFK movement coming back. You said you were excited. I know you're excited. What does that mean to you? Do you think this tide is kind of shifting in this country? Are people waking up to this? What does that mean to you?
Well, I hope so. And I think for us, it was exciting to have a national voice that would talk about, I mean, because the more you know, the more you're almost, you don't want to know, because it's like, I mean, because it really is poison, you know, like I'm saying there's serious problems with our food
Literally
system,
poison.
like literally. So we were super excited because obviously we've been in it. We've been talking to, and you know, we're big fans of Joel Salatin, a lot of these legends in the field and stuff. And so when we found out that RFK, like his whole messaging and everything, we were just like, this is amazing. And so, and actually we've already, people that have gone to his roundtables have found us through that. So, I mean, pretty exciting. But it's exciting for us on many levels. For one is like, you want the information out so that people really can get healthy.
Yeah.
And our whole idea is health, body, soul, and spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why we even have the entrepreneurship thing, is it's like problem solving for, it's not just your health. It's like, there's just 100%. Alignment of everything. And so, so we're excited. And then you have Joel Salatin that got put on one of the boards of the USDA
that's
as well.
That's going to be a huge...
So that's a game changer.
We partied after that one.
And for those who don't know, you can definitely basically Google him. I think he's been on Rogan. He's got there's a ton of information about him and kind of what he's done, how he's led from the front. And what I also like about that is the track record he has. We start to dig in. It's like the other gentleman, his name's escaping me, the guy with White Oak Pastures. He was the first time I ever heard about regenerative farming. And he was on a Joe Rogan episode. And I went, what? I go, this is crazy. Like, you can restore the topsoil. I mean, everything he's saying, it sounds like common sense. And then what I just found, back to personal experience, because that's why I always like to tie it in, I just feel so much better. I feel so much cleaner. I just feel, you just feel healthier, right? And I want to share this with everybody. And that's one of the questions, in your opinion, because I also come from an education background. So I worked in an inner city in Lawrence, Mass. Oh, what I'm always curious, 10 years there, special ed teacher, dean of students, got the battle scars and everything. But I had some great kids, and we did some amazing work over there before we transitioned to real estate investing. What I'm always curious about, regenerative farming, I know there's issues around scale. Have you ever been approached? Is there a way to get some of this into schools? Are we at that point with it yet? Like, what would it look like to make this the everyday diet? Like, in theory, and I don't know this, could Dreamers Ranch feed every family in Windham? Or is that not how it works? Do you need a larger farm? Like, what does something like that look like? You would need
obviously a larger farm to feed everyone.
Or multiple small
farms. But we have a community garden that we started here in Manchester last year. So, and then I'm partnered with a guy that has started most of the community gardens here in the city. And so he's doing. I'm not sure if he's totally regenerative. But of course, it's a new relationship, so we can always we're always into influencing. So. You can say you need land to do it. But you can. But from for us coming into it, being 8 years into it, I don't know the amount of quantity. I know one thing is that you can create a lot more food on smaller pieces of land with healthy soil.
Oh, really? Can you expand on that a little
So, well, the healthier the soil gets, like even for the grass, like, so the Litchfield farm, which we actually just acquired. So
Congratulations. Look, we're breaking news here on the
Yeah.
podcast. So Dreamers Ranch 2.0 coming.
Steve
I
just
love it.
retired. So, but it's when that farm started, he could fit about 12 cows for 6 weeks on the farm.
Okay.
And we can do 65 cows almost the entire summer on it. Wow. And so that's the density of the forage that comes out. All of a sudden now they can eat, there's more grass in a small area.
Got it.
And so, so preparing the soil, and you're doing it with a couple of things. You're doing it with the cows, but also with multi-species, so different kinds of grass and different kinds of animals. So you never want monoculture because monoculture always leaves room for disease to start.
Got it.
So it's the multiple different species. So the manure of the cow is different than the manure of the chicken. And so the parasites are going to be a lot lower because they're going to crawl. What Joel says is they crawl across the field and they get to this pile of poop and they're like, it's the wrong one.
We had pile poop and regenerative seed with cows on here, but here we
called
are.
it golden poo. It's
Golden
it's
poo.
everything.
That's got to go on a T-shirt. Golden poo.
Yeah. Oh, we
Dreamers
have a whole
Ranch,
T-shirt line of ideas. We're like, we need this on it.
I need the golden. Well, why aren't we making it?
Yeah, we got to. Adriana's like,
You
yeah.
know, I need the Golden Poo Dreamers Ranch T-shirt. I think that would be amazing. That's a way to generate a buzz. Put a little QR code on there.
All our
Let's make a
T-shirts.
note of that. We're gonna do that. All right.
So the healthier that soil is, the more that you can take off of it.
Yes.
The more that's in it, and then there's less, because what happens is the soil itself is healthy. Your grass is healthy.
Yep.
So you don't. It's just like a human. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're giving it everything that it needs, and it creates more resilient. It's resilient to drought. So the first year, so my farm is just newly regenerative, and it was stripped, and so I'm repairing the land in Windham.
Got it.
But at Litchfield, it was a couple summers ago, we had a drought, and they literally were green the entire summer.
Other farmers
Because it's so
were-
natural.
Because your
so
soil
rich.
base in it, and it holds water.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about the quality of the food coming out of that compared to something else, and that's what really resonates with me. It's like, again, like I can't explain it different than that. Just how much better you feel when you're eating something like that. So that's kind of where I was going with it, because that's one of the things I always think about is how do we scale this, right? This is always the question. This is always the pushback. So like, and I don't know if you know this metric, because I don't know if it computes. How many people, in theory, can Dreamers Ranch sustain right now if they were to, get the city of Windham, a quarter of the city of Windham, 100 people? I don't know. I don't know how big. Like, I'm trying to solve the problem. Like, how scalable is that? How much would it take? Do you guys have those metrics?
I don't like.
Yeah.
I think we could probably figure it out pretty quickly based on history and what we're doing. And
Yeah, we probably, there's metrics out there. I just don't have. I don't have. You're asking me right this second.
Well, I told you, we go off the cuff.
I know.
But I honestly, I like that back.
Our goal for this upcoming year is to sell between 25 and 50 shares of half sides.
That's amazing.
And so if we can do that, the more we build our community, the more we build our customer base and have amazing people like you sharing.
Oh, I promise you'll sell 25 to 50 after this. You get a link. I give me a link. I guarantee you sell 25 to 50.
Like she was saying with the soil and regenerative, it's our whole motto is regenerating soil, regenerating lives. And so as we regenerate the soil, everything has a place in regenerative farming. And, every species works together, but we say the same thing in community. And that's what she's been, leading the charge in. We all have a place. And so if we all keep networking, we will be able to scale. And the education piece, we want to educate ourselves and our team, and we want everyone who's into farming or eating healthy and clean to work together. And the community piece is a key part in scaling. Acquiring land, that's a big thing that's on our hearts. We're like, we see all these farmers ready to go out of business because they can't support the monocrop system, and we want to regenerate soils.
What is the monocrop system?
When you're planting just corn, one thing.
Oh yeah, we got to get that shit out of there.
Because
We
it's
need other
going to
things. Get
deplete
corn
the
out.
soil,
Yeah.
and then it's tough to stay in business. She was saying, like, layering your businesses for farming, it's so important, because if this crop fails when you're relying on the,
So is the idea, it's kind of staying with the regenerative farmer, right? Because I'm assuming most people listen to this, we're trying to educate them and they don't have that background. when you come in and you're going to regenerate the topsoil, you're going to go regenerative farming. Is there like a year lag period on changing from corn to multiple things? Can that happen in one season? Walk us through that.
It could happen in one season. It depends. I mean, if you have a farm, a lot of the land that's getting sold off though is old like dairy farmland. So it's not. It's
Is there better or worse? Anything with that?
Well, that's not in crazy disrepair. I'm saying, it's had grass, it's had cows on it. Their grazing methods probably, you could do things that could enrich the soil, but it's not terrible. There's some farms that I know that are doing veg, they call it, or vegetables or whatever. And that tends to be a little more monocropped, and they and that's when you're getting into fertilizers and stuff.
Because you're trying to grow that one very specific thing.
And you do it every year. So every year your vegetables and plants are sucking the nutrients out of the soil. And they're usually, if you're a vegetable farmer, you're a vegetable farmer.
So
you're not like, and then you come in and rather than composting, laying compost down and just replanting on that, they come in and dig the soil up. And so that's part of regenerative is like no dig gardening, because every time you dig into the soil, you're taking the whole infrastructure that they took a year to build and ripping all their houses down.
I love that analogy. A real estate podcast. That makes sense.
And so every year you rip their houses down and make them rebuild a house rather than just take all that energy and put it back into your food.
Okay. So in theory, the goal is, if I'm hearing this, you get the farmland, you get some cows, some livestock, I can't remember the fancy term you use, but basically multiple things going on a plot of land, and pretty much any farmland can essentially become this with the right kind of resources, the cows, the chickens, the vegetation, everything can come together.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And you could probably turn it over within a year or two. I mean, it happens, it's fast. We had the privilege, we went out to, it's Rome Ranch out in Texas. It was a regenerative farm, and their story, and this was one of the things that impacted us greatly, because this was 3 years into our journey that we went, and they had bought land. They're a buffalo farm out in Texas, lots of stuff. But so their farm was 6 years regenerative, and they had started buying up the farmland around them. And so when you go in to see their property, you're driving through 1 year regenerative, 2 years regenerative, 6 years.
You've seen the goal.
And it's mind blowing. I'm saying it's mind blowing. Like the way that you farm it changes everything.
I think we need to make a documentary here. Is what we need to do.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy stuff. Yeah. I mean, and what's so funny is you're just going back to created order. This is how God intended it. This is how nature does it. And you go back to those principles, and it literally takes you into Eden. I mean, their grass was like. I mean, it was crazy. You could see it. And this was in an area in Texas that's the desert. Wow.
Yeah.
So
and
every
you could
farm.
just witness all the natural beauty happening the way God intended. That is amazing.
Well, and then they had a conservation area like 5 miles down the road.
Yep. That
people that love the land, environmentalists, right? Like that really care about the land. And they had taken the animals off 20 years ago because the drought or whatever.
That's kind of government.
They were doing some controlled burning. They were doing all these things to try to and it was destroyed. We went and toured it, and it was a desert, and they couldn't do it. And literally 5 miles down the road, same environment. And even the conservation people were saying, Rome Ranch, if you get 20 inches of rain, which isn't a lot, they'll hold 19 inches of it in their soil. So in the desert, any water that came in is going into their soil, where the other, it's running off. You're destroying. I mean, it's erosion. Everything's taking place.
Isn't it so frustrating, but also so impactful when you see, okay, here's a problem, but the good news is it's a solvable problem.
Right.
Now, it's a big problem, right? And that's what, I could tell you a little entrepreneur in you, and that's what drives us and fuels us. The other thing I wanted to ask, I have you guys, because I heard this too, and I think it's one way as I'm thinking through as this conversation evolves. And again, I hope the Baja movement, hope that all helps. The meat, isn't there something like if you wanted to sell Dreamers Ranch meat in stores, you still have to go through some kind of testing or something like that, right?
No, you just have to USA butcher it.
Yes, and then that's when they get into some spray or something like that. I heard it was more of a headache of a process. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not.
I'm not familiar with the process.
Okay, so there's no pushback. I'll have Jake link to the episodes, but I know there was a farmer, a regenerative farmer in Pennsylvania was getting a bunch of pushback because he was trying to sell in smaller quantities. So I didn't know if that was any legislation or anything, kind of make people aware. Do you have to buy in shares?
States have different legislations too.
So in New Hampshire, if you just want like a smaller order, say someone just wants some ground beef and some steaks, they can get that from you guys directly?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. All right, that's great. Well, this is great. I thought we were going to unfortunately not be able to do that. That's
Oh
great
no, if you
news.
go onto our website, our store, we offer 16ths, 8ths, like different size of the cows.
I'm sticking with my half.
So
I'm very
half
happy.
cows are definitely the better way to
I
go.
also,
But I'm saying
I
what
eat
you
like
can.
90% meat only, so that way it makes sense for me.
Right.
It's like a ribeye every night. I'm very happy. All right, so listen, before we get you guys out of here, I want to say, do you guys do like any scholarship, entrepreneurship program, anything like that? I think
We do, yes.
All right. Well, I'm excited to announce Commonwealth Collective, my company with Matt and Hannah. We're going to make a $500 donation to that for this summer.
so
So I
much.
wanted to say that while we got you guys on here.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I hope it helps a little bit.
Yeah, that's amazing.
We'll also obviously be purchasing more cows. And also, where can people learn more and get a hold of you guys again?
www.dreamersranch.org.
Awesome. They'll be reaching out to you too. And I can't thank you guys enough for being here. And I look forward to having you back on in a year and see how much growth we've had between now and then.
Thank you
that's
so
exciting.
much.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Mike.
guys. As always,
Yeah, we
bet on
really-
yourself.